Hello, everyone. Welcome to e-commerce, the secret sauce. I hope you're dry and well. I guess if you're sitting in front of a computer where you are today, I guess you'll be hopefully dry and well. Yeah, thanks for dialing in. By way of introduction, my name's Grant Johnson. I'm one of the co-founders of Rocket Spark, and over the last few years, we've obviously done a lot in the e-commerce sector. If you dialed into the last session with Jason, where we went through the process of building a site, and today's session is about sharing the learnings around running an effective online store. And I was based for several years in the UK, getting Rocket Spark going in the UK, and then coming back to New Zealand. It felt like e-commerce were actually quite a bit behind the rest of the world, and there was an opportunity came up to start an online store with my wife and another couple, and so we set up this online store and learned a huge amount. And so the session today, we're going to share a little bit of the learnings in terms of what I learned running that store and with my wife. And also a little while ago, we went out and interviewed a bunch of our clients and asked them, what is it, like the ones that were doing really well, what is it that helped you in your success? What were the sort of secrets to success? And as you know, we have the benefit of seeing what happens across thousands of websites, and so what we've done is sort of collated all that together and are sharing that with you today. In the webinar software that we're using, the online class software, there's an opportunity to ask questions, so please don't hesitate to ask questions as we go along, and I'll keep an eye on that as we go, and maybe there are things that I can answer as we go along, or we'll definitely come to them at the end. And it'd also be great just in the chat window. I'd love to know where you're dialing in from today, and also where you are in your e-commerce journey, so that then as I'm going through, I can actually make sure I'm pitching it to sort of the right angle. Are you just getting going, or you've been in e-commerce for a while? That would be helpful, so I can make sure it's good. And actually, Andrew's asked the first question. So, is the first session available? Has missed it? Yeah. So that's available. And so what we can do is make sure we send out a link, and there's a recording there, and so you can catch up and see the first session. We basically walk through the process, and you'll see. I think we build the website in about half an hour, so 30 minutes. We've got all the content ready to go, and that's the slow part. But actually, it's pretty quick once you're into it. So if you could. Plug in sort of we're dialing in, and so thanks, Andrew. So from Hamilton and just starting. So good session today where you're kind of tapping into the experience of people that have gone before. And probably for someone that is just starting, what I learned and what we see with our clients is that getting a website is really just the start. It's the stuff that you do later to actually make it successful. And almost because we've made the process of getting a website so simple, we find sometimes clients get lulled into a false sense of security that suddenly they're going to get sales because they've got a website. So hey Guy, Coromandel, awesome. So already have an e-commerce site but is stalled. So cool. So hopefully this can be helpful. I was actually at the top of the Coromandel, did the Coromandel Coastal Walkway last Friday, which is just incredible, beautiful part of the country. You've got up there, and actually when we were looking through the guidebooks and through the Lonely Planet and some of the local directories, it was amazing how many of the kind of tour operators didn't actually have websites. So that was quite interesting to me as well. But cool. Well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and so I've got a little sort of presentation there where we can go through. Okay, and just through the lockdown, we did so many of these sessions. You think I'll be match fit in terms of everything ready to go. But here we are. Okay, so the secret sauce, and probably one of the first things to highlight before going into the detail was just that e-commerce is big, and I've shared actually a little bit of the numbers of what we saw through our platform, sort of in New Zealand. So this is just for New Zealand. We have clients around the world, but this is looking specifically at New Zealand. So you can sort of see through the sort of level 4 scenario lockdown, then e-commerce started to open up in terms of more people able to trade at level 3, and some of the hospitality people came on board as well. And then sort of starting at level 2, you can see things taper away as the shops start to open up again. But interestingly, it's kind of at a new level. So I think of my parents who probably had maybe booked a holiday online, or probably bought a few things, but they'd never done their groceries, and they were getting their bread turn up from the baker, and their meat from the butcher, and the groceries from the supermarket. So people of that vintage suddenly are into e-commerce in a way that they hadn't been before. And this is just up until the end of May, and we had a little look. We haven't sort of collated things ongoing at this stage, but sort of the early stage of the first week of lockdown looked like it was tracking. The first week of level 1 looked like it was tracking about the same as sort of this trend through here as well. So so there's a massive opportunity, and also amongst our clients, what we see is so much of their sales take place outside of their hometown. So they suddenly got a reach around New Zealand and around the world. Okay, so the first, in terms of the key themes that have come through from our own learnings and from clients, is starting with a great product. So we did once have a client selling woolly neck scarves in North Queensland, which is pretty tropical, and kind of, that's probably at one end of the spectrum, is pretty tough sale. But sort of the common theme is that these clients have something unique about what they do. So, for example, Needle and Nail, making homemade wooden toys, really creative. They made dolls, and they just have a unique product and a unique story to tell. Same with Xenia. They make sort of ethically produced, biodegradable fabric, these tights, and quite distinctive in terms of the pattern. So, and that's a business where there's a unique point of difference. Another client that's gone particularly well during the lockdown scenario is these guys with work from home desks. So they developed in a really short space of time. Their previous business, making road cases, just really tanked, and I think their word was toast, because events just weren't happening. So they used their skills to set up this business, and in a week they were up and running. But it really hit the market at the right time. So they had a great product for the time. And the store that my wife and I are running, this is an older screenshot of the homepage from when we were doing it, but was called Pure and Wholesome. So our point of difference was just collating together all these kind of natural products in terms of pet food and biodegradable baby wipes, nappies, and Pure and Wholesome have kicked on to really expand the range with toothbrushes and made from bamboo and things like that. So there was kind of like a reason to come there, that if you're into natural and sort of ethically produced products, that was kind of like a point of difference that we were looking to carve out. So starting with a great product, that's a really key point. And it's just, I guess, the fundamentals of business and marketing is, have you got something that people want to buy? And so, and if you've got that, then, it can be a really good product for online. The next key theme, and this is one that you're really much in control of and simple to understand, is building a community. So I'll share a little bit more detail, but just a couple of quotes from them first. So this is from Xenia. So they say, the main thing that has driven our e-commerce sales is the ability to connect with our customers directly. We put a lot of time and energy into creating platforms for us to speak with them. And I'll explain a little bit more what that means. And Needle and Nail, so their products are predominantly for children. And so we've led our customers into our family through showing our kids through kids using our products. Customers feel a personal connection, even though we've never met. So the ways that they have done that in terms of building community. So with Xenia, what they've done is they've actually set up a private Facebook group where their customers can be there and are sort of using their products and sharing photos of them exercising and what they're doing, and also have these brand ambassadors who are kind of out there in the community wearing their products and building a community in that way. And the cool thing is when a scenario like a lockdown happens, they've got this really loyal customer base that are really supporting them, and they've continued to do well in a time when there's a lot of doom and gloom in the economy, but they've continued to kick on and do well because they've got a underlying loyal base, and it's continuing to grow. And they're regularly posting on social media, so that's actually the first point. I should have started with that one, and it's the people before the product. So they're really showing the people and how they're using the product, and it's not kind of salesy. And That comes in with the third point there in terms of they're doing regular email marketing with their clients. And again, it's not salesy. So it's telling stories, it's showing how people are using the product and sort of showcasing the stories of people rather than this is a product and features and benefits and why you should buy. They were doing giveaways, so that was quite a common theme, but they weren't for sales. It was all about building the community. So if people are joining the community, and then there'll be a competition to win a prize or some sort of giveaway. And obviously, if you've got cute kids you can use in your marketing as needle and nail do, that's always going to be a winner. In terms of, so once you're building that community, having something like a customer account feature where you're making it easy for people to come back and repeat buy. And it's also then easy for you to see at a glance. And like with Xenia, they were amazed when they enabled the customer account feature just to see some of their top customers and what they were spending and just how many pairs of tights they were actually purchasing for them. And really useful in terms of the insights and so convenient for your customer as well. The other area that we're seeing emerging that in terms of sort of getting repeat sales from within that community is subscription. And here's it's an older quote now and it's continued to kick on, but from McKinsey saying that subscription e-commerce market has grown by more than 100% a year over the past 5 years. So that's basically doubling every year. And we've seen really good growth amongst clients that are doing that. And here's one, a Bay of Plenty based, they're up in the Kaimais, called Six-Toed Fox Organics. And you can see a note where I've taken a screenshot from their website that, sorry, due to high demand, we're only able to offer set boxes at this time, no customized orders. So there was so much demand for the food boxes during lockdown that they, rather than kind of putting together your own individual order, all they offered was the set boxes on subscription and gotten really well. And it's such a beautiful thing where your customers are just repeat buying from you every week. Another local our local Waikato one is Alexander Organic. So really cool sort of organic unpasteurized milk service. So they were selling from a vending machine at their farm. They still have that there just out of Cambridge. And now you can order your milk on subscription. And so again, a beautiful thing. And actually, we popped out to see them because our offices in Cambridge, we popped out to see them. And at that time, they were actually having more demand than what they could supply, and they're waiting for the next kind of calving season, which was imminent, to be able to start sort of taking on more customers. And with the Pure and Wholesome business, we also ran subscriptions, so that was great for the dog food and nappies and things like that. And one out of the UK was quite novel, and they're obviously in a sort of more stringent lockdown scenario than us, is this client called Miriam's Munchies. And they put together these bundles with milk, bread, and a loaf. And you could also add on, I think, eggs and a few essentials. So pretty cool, and sort of built up a regular client base in that way. So definitely worth a look in terms of, if you've got a product for repeat buying, is look at that subscription model. Okay, email marketing, and I mentioned it briefly in terms of building that community. I'll just bring the notes back. And just share a slide where this is the growth when we were running the Pure and Wholesome business. We probably weren't particularly smart with our message. It was just basically, sign up to our newsletter. And that was the trend from the early days of the business, where people just signing up to learn more from us. And that was almost strange to me because I very rarely sign up, and I already get sort of bombarded, and there's a few that I sign up. Actually, one that I keep subscribed to is the Coromandel Good for the Soul newsletter. It's just, it is good for the soul to see kind of what's going on in that part of the world. But yes, I don't tend to sign up, but it's interesting from an e-commerce point of view how many people do sign up, and we've seen particularly good success. And this is actually a slide from MailChimp, where we integrate with MailChimp's email marketing software and the e-commerce sort of automation capability in MailChimp. And you can see the effectiveness of this various automations, but it's the abandoned cart messaging. And we've seen that with Pure and Wholesome as well, where Jess, who does the marketing, shared a little bit of the results there. And just basically an abandoned cart is when someone visits your store, adds the product into the basket, and then for some reason the phone rings, or they're like, oh, I'm really not sure. They might not complete the purchase. And there's an interesting statistic from MailChimp themselves where it's 69% average cart abandonment. So it's phenomenally high. And that's even across, that's the average, and that's across very good websites and very bad. And we saw that as well. We're across a range of clients with really good websites and good sales. Cart abandonment is still really high. So sending out a message that says, hey, you've left this in your basket, why not come back and buy it? Some people do special offers, but talking to some of the team in the office, they know certain clients, not clients of ours, but certain sort of big stores that do sort of these abandoned cart messages with a coupon offer. So they always just go add the product, go away, and then come back later. So your customers can be pretty savvy, so be wary of that. But in terms of doing offers, but even just a simple reminder of, hey, here's the product, and even explaining how the shipping works, like what are your delivery terms, if people are confused about what it's going to cost to get the product delivered and when it's going to turn up, maybe have just some simple information about that in your abandoned cart email. Another one in terms of email marketing is you can do a welcome email. So say, hey, here's some, hello, welcome, and here's a code to get a discount off your next order. So then you're starting to build that community again and that repeat purchase through a friendly welcome. And also come back. So if you're seeing in your customer accounts and in your reporting that customers haven't been for a long time, is maybe test the idea of doing a repeat offer out to them. So that's the email marketing. Okay, the fourth key theme is about doing the SEO basics. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. So it's about doing things to your website that's going to help it rank well. And here's a quote from one of our clients, so My Coffee Capsules, and it just says, I found you online, I read the search engine optimization guide that you've written, and basically I did everything that it told me to do and some other things. And so here's a husband and wife, they built their own website, and they just followed the basics of search engine optimization. And it's pretty cool, actually. If you Google, I think, Coffee Capsules NZ, 3 of our clients are actually on page 1. I think you got sort of, there is a coffee capsule supplier and Nespresso, and then we've got three clients up there, and all sort of people that have built this site and just done the basics really well. I'm going to cover off a couple, but we've got a really nice book called How to Build a Website Click by Click, and we actually work through step by step the things for how to get up the search rankings. And in this book, actually, it's used at the University of Waikato for their digital marketing course, and also at Wintech, who use Rocket Spark for the e-commerce paper as well. So kind of, it's used at educational institution. It's got a reasonable, it's well written and easy to follow. And this is another client that's gone really, really well, and they talk about setting up landing pages for all the products, so that now when you search for different products, and I think if you search for natural protein bars, nothing naughty, they come up typically in the top place. And they've, again, just followed the basics of SEO. There's a couple of key ones, though, that I think can be really helpful. So even if you don't go and read the book, check out these next couple of things. And I'm going to use an example from the Pure and Wholesome business that we were running. So we had a product called, one of the products we sold was called Nature's Miracle, and it's a pet cleanup product. And if you search for that product, you can see we were doing some paid advertising. So you can see the Google Shopping results here. So the Pure and Wholesome ad there. We also had a text-based ad, but then it was bigger stores. So pet.co.nz, big website, longer established player, Mighty Ape, so big e-commerce retailer, Animates, and those guys, they were outranking. And they've been there a while, and it was tricky to compete. But what we realized was that because there were so many different types of Nature's Miracle products, it was confusing as to which product to choose. So what we did was we wrote a blog called Which Nature's Miracle Products should I choose? And if you search for that phrase, which Nature's Miracle products, you can see that we're actually coming out top result for that, even above the Nature's Miracle brand. So it's pretty cool in terms of that, even though here's a website that's all about Nature's Miracle and the clear authority on it, here we were coming out number one. And I did this, I checked again just the other day to make sure, because you probably want to go and check that I'm not telling porkies. And it was still coming up number one. And what was interesting, I think I took another screenshot, this is a screenshot I took when I sort of prepared this on Tuesday, so Nature's Miracle NZ, and you can see here, so we're still doing, or that they're still doing the Google Shopping ads, and you can see a text ad, and then there's Animates, so big nationwide store, and then there's Pure and Wholesome. So we're actually now ranking even well just for the Nature's Miracle search term, whereas previously we were on page one but not ranking well. So just by answering the types of questions that people are searching for, that helps really well. So think about what are the top 10 questions your clients or customers are asking you, and just start writing really specific blog post articles. And it just, time and time again, it just works if you answer the questions that people are searching for. Related to that, another one that's really useful to understand is this idea of creating landing pages. So another product that we sold was this brush called a Furminator. So it was a really sort of high-end, over $100 kind of de-shedding brush, really specialized product. And so what we did for all of our key brands that we were selling, we created a dedicated page that was all about the Furminator brush. And we did the same for Nature's Miracle and Barking Heads and the different brands. If we look a bit closer at this page, you can see my heading here it's all about Furminator and de-shedding. I have a link here that goes off to my Furminator products in my shop. I have the Furminator logo, which behind the scenes I've tagged it to say to Google, it's called alt text, but basically I've told Google this is the Furminator logo. And sorry, I've jumped the slide. You can see, and then if you went to that page and went down the page, you can see we've got also the Furminator products in terms of to buy them. And when I checked this 2 days ago, and it'd be interesting if you checked it as well, this Furminator page was in second place. So we just created a page, and we'd also written a supporting blog around de-shedding and how to do it and what products to use and so on. So read the book, but those are just two things that are worth looking at, is writing a blog about really specific topics and creating a landing page dedicated to that particular topic as well. Hopefully that makes sense. Keep, if there's anything that's not clear as we go along, please be sure to ask. All right, I've just lost my slides again. Here we go. The sort of fifth key theme that we learned from clients, and also when we were running Pure and Wholesome, was just to continuously test and learn. Thanks, Kim. Welcome. So they were just continually testing. And the thing is for some, it's the social media that works particularly well. For some, like in our Pure and Wholesome business, it was actually the Google Shopping. So if we look at an example of Google Shopping, it's where we paid, we basically sort of bidded almost like an auction type scenario, say for words like Furminator NZ, and then you can see our products are appearing based on what we were prepared to pay. And what we found was that those Google Shopping ads were working much more effectively than the text-based ads. And so what we ended up doing was taking our budget from our text-based ads and putting almost all of it into Google Shopping, and just putting a little bit on really specific phrases such as the brands that we were selling. But we didn't put the text ads for more generic terms like natural dog food or natural cat food or biodegradable baby wipes. It was just really specific brand. So, but you just don't know until you try. And also testing and learning with your content. So work from home desk, they have one of their team, you can see them there taking a photo, talented photographer and video guy, and just constantly testing different photography. And you can see in this one where they've set up a little studio, very, very simple, with kind of like basically a white backdrop, and the same with Xenia as well. It's almost identical in terms of their setup. And you can get these kind of camera sort of lighting kits pretty cost effectively. And there's also businesses that do this in terms of getting your photography. But what they were finding was they were doing it so often in terms of needing new photos and wanting to test, that it was really cost effective just to set up things. Basically, this is in a room in their house, but testing and learning and seeing what happens. Okay, the next one in terms of key themes, and this has come out in more recent times, is the whole idea of buy now, pay later. So the likes of Lay-Buy and Afterpay and Zip. Quite interesting results. And so I'll share, this is from the early days. So we integrated with Lay-Buy a few years ago, and we've also integrated with Afterpay and Zip in Australia. And what we did was we looked at clients that had, to be in this study, they had to have had 12 months of sales history with us. And in the initial stages, they had to be doing more than a couple of grand, like $2,000 per month to be in this study. So they're actually kind of starting to get a little bit of traction and get going. And the average increase was 66%. And it was quite startling. I think Lay-Buy and Afterpay both claim that their average uplift when someone adopts their service is about 30%. And I think probably because our clients are typically people that are using RocketSpark to get going, startup businesses, can make quite a significant impact. So one of the key benefits is you get listed on the Lay-Buy or Afterpay marketplace, and then so people, once they get approved with their credit, where they can buy now and pay in installments, they then go to that directory and look at what other stores they can purchase. So we set it up on Pure and Wholesome, and we saw quite a significant increase in our traffic. And the interesting thing was, not all of those people that came actually used Lay-Buy, because it was, if they're buying a $30 bag of cat biscuits, they didn't necessarily bother with that. But it was great in terms of the traffic coming through. And the lovely thing is we still got paid the next day, and the customer paid in installments over the next few days. Over the next, I think Lay-Buy is 6 weeks and Afterpay is 4 weeks. So definitely worth a look if you've got the type of product that is allowed to be sold through that channel. The next key theme was to bring in experts. So not actually be afraid. So it may seem almost strange when we're, so much of what we do is about people building their own website, but we also have a partner network that use RocketSpark to design sites for their clients. And probably a key theme amongst those people that are doing really well is they actually engage an expert to help them. So this is Xenia, and as a startup where they were kind of fairly tight in terms of sales were low, but here's the quote, I'll just read it verbatim because I think it's pretty clear. But realizing that we don't need to be experts at everything has been good for us. You try to save costs everywhere you can, but at some point you need to sit down and learn how to make something like AdWords effective, or you suck it up and pay someone else to help you. And that was our experience with Pure and Wholesome as well, that I'd run AdWords campaigns in the early days of RocketSpark and kind of knew the basics of doing it. But when we handed it over to an expert to run, the investment that they charged a fee to do that, but the return was so much better than I could get by doing it myself, and I didn't have the hassle, and then also had someone to ask. And so it's if you can create that budget in your business to engage someone expert to help you, and nothing naughty as well. And particularly in the early days, I'm not sure if they're still doing this, but for getting going, they used a social media agency, and then they started. So when we started using Facebook advertising is what really changed it for us. We use an agency monthly. We create a campaign in conjunction with them, and so using an expert, they went really, really well. The next one is to be tenacious, and that kind of fits, I guess, with that testing and learning. But the Xenia story is a good one in terms of where they sat down with their accountant and they'd basically said, I'm not sure if you should continue with this business, but they had self-belief that they could really do it. And now if you spoke to them and Chloe, one of the founders, spoke at our partner conference this year. And yeah, and just such a cool story in terms of where they just persevered, they tested and learned, they've built their community and are now ramping things up. And it's, I'm so pleased for them because they were tenacious and it takes time. And that was a factor in us actually selling the Pure and Wholesome business out to our business partners, is we just didn't have the time to invest in it. Rocket Spark's going really well and a key focus, and unless we were being tenacious and testing and learning and persevering with it, we weren't going to get the most out of it. The next sort of key theme, and we're getting pretty close to the end now, but is this idea of creating time and harnessing add-ons. They can really help. And so one of the most common that clients will connect with is Xero. So it's very simple to connect with Xero. And because what we find is that clients at the start, it's like, hey, how do I build a website? And then the next thing is, how do I get some sales? And they read the book and we give them a bit of advice and they get going. And then it's like, I'm getting so many orders, I'm getting swamped with my back-end processes. It's not quite as amazing as that in terms of suddenly swamped. It's taken all that work. But by streamlining their back-end processes, it can mean they can focus on the front end of generating sales. So with connecting with a system like Xero, it's generating the invoices for each sale automatically in Xero. And with Pure and Wholesome, I love the fact that I could go in and just run a month-to-date sales report. So I could click a button and see how we were tracking as at the 25th of June versus the 25th of May, and so on. And so that was really helpful. There's other tools if you're running a retail store. So Kim mentioned running a shop and a cafe. So running a retail store, looking at something like a point of sale system like Venn, where you can have the products in your point of sale system and then link it to your website. So you're not having to enter the products in your point of sale and your website. And also for people, once they get going, is then looking at an inventory management system like TradeGecko, where it's a central platform for all their logistics and also has a business-to-business e-commerce. So if you're selling wholesale as well. One really nice one that we used at Pure and Wholesome that's worth a look is Go Sweet Spot. And so Jeremy and Dee Ralston, who run Needle and Nail, actually sort of old friends of ours, and he was texting me and saying, hey, you've got to integrate with this system. It's really good. It's really helpful. And this is a text. I think he thought that Rocket Spark was me and one of the developers, Lee, who was working on that particular project. So he recommended that we give ourselves a pay rise. But basically, for them in a growing business, is that Go Sweet Spot, it meant that when they got a sale, the sale was put into their delivery system, that they could then book the courier directly from that system, and then the tracking information gets sent directly to the customer. And what we found in the early days of Pure and Wholesome, we had some great customers come on board early, and our courier let us down a couple of times. And someone that had bought several $100s of dog food, which they're going to be needing that probably on a monthly basis, and the courier just didn't show, and we didn't provide any tracking information, and we'd lost that customer, which was pretty gutting early days. When we connected with Go Sweet Spot, the number of queries that came in, they were eliminated in terms of where's my order, because people were empowered. They got sent a link where they could click and track the order. And then even as a rule, we were pretty good at shipping out the orders on time. But those queries, they just stopped completely. So great in terms of customer service and retention. And then a service like Go Sweet Spot, it also provides the best rate for the size of the package and where you're shipping. So you can actually choose which delivery provider you want to work with. So yeah, really worth a look in terms of streamlining your delivery. So I think that's the end in terms of the secret sauce. So probably not so secret, but probably the secret essence, I suppose, is just putting together the really simple things that can help you. So I'd recommend checking out the book. So if you go to rocketspark.com/ebook, and I'll be really happy to answer any questions if there's anything specific that I can help you with. And I see there that Kim said you'd missed the first session. Yeah, so just as Andrew chatted there as well, put in the chat. So we'll send out a link where you can access that first session as well. We basically walk through the session. Yeah, thanks, Jan. Hopefully that's helpful. If there's any particular problems that you're encountering, it'd be great to know. Say, Guy, if you're still there, you know, have you sort of tried out any of these things, and does it make sense in terms of, you know, the potential for these things to help you in your business? I see guys typing, so I'll wait around for that. But yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks, Guy. Yeah, glad it's helpful. So this will be available to watch again, and you can also call us up on 0800 Rocket, or send us an email at support@rocketspark.com, and we'd be happy to give advice. We're kind of not a hard sell type of company. Our general approach is just to help people in what they do, and then they go, man, these guys are friendly and helpful. I need to look into it a bit more. So yeah, thanks for coming along. And yeah, Te Waka, who kindly set this up for us, they'll send out a little survey. So please, don't be shy. Like, please, if it's, let us know what's helpful, what's not helpful. We genuinely want to help you in your business, and now's the time to really excel in e-commerce. So please, don't be polite, because that won't help us get better. So yeah, definitely let us know. So thanks, everyone, and have a good weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.